Okay, hey everybody. So we're kind of moving on. This is day 2 for me. I kind of been busy, but we're at the point in our code. So where did we leave off? What we did was we actually created a command line tool that allows us to pass in a parameter. Okay, that's what this is doing. We also went back and we created a way to work around it so we can run it inside of our IDE, in this case JetBrains. And what that's allowing us to do is test it without running through the command line, right? And I'm doing something kind of new. I'm actually playing, I'm trying to record without using, hold on. Okay. Just want to make sure it was facing me. I'm trying to record without hearing myself, so it might be kind of unorthodox for me, but fine for you. Now, if you remember the scope here, we're at the point now where we need to start pulling data back from Spectrum and pulling back data back from PM, which in our case is DA. Now here, this is pulling back devices. It's one of them that we need to pull back. So what I want to do, what do we want to do now? Let's think about our next thing. Now I do have a set of rules that we need to pull back, and we'll talk about that when we get to it. But let's go ahead and get back to our start. Oh, the other thing we did too is we have a property file, which is here. And a property file, again, for sake of sanity, I just took the passwords out. But we need to add this landscapes. We'll do that later. And this target path is where our data is going to be written to. I already created the folder. There's nothing there. But I added that to our settings file. Now we can delete this test because we don't need it anymore. Let's go ahead and move it to trash. Let's delete. And we probably should check all this into GitHub. I'll do that in a little bit because I don't know if it... The reason I'm thinking that is because whenever we do the Docker, we'll do that last. Because when we do the Docker, we're going to delete a lot of this and we're going to run it in the Docker station. And you'll see that when we get to it. So let's go ahead and just get back to our code for now. So let's go back to this start method. Again, if you know me, which, well, I haven't really wrote code on this yet, other than the .NET stuff I did for TDM. But what we're going to do is I like to have a workflow pattern. As an architect, I like to use patterns. And I like the idea of the workflow pattern because as a start and then it executes a workflow, because that's kind of what we're doing here, right? A workflow is something that performs step by step by step. Okay. So what we want to do now is we want to get our file information, right? Because we wrote that repository. We have these, our fake getters. And well, this is the file. Okay. And if you look quick enough, you'd got my password, but that's okay because we either cut that out. I don't think I can, but this is the file. And what we're going to do is in our repository, I have a repository for everything, right? Because I like to work. If you know the patterns, which you should, a workflow, but I also like to use a repository pattern, which means there's kind of that middle tier that pulls in the data. So what's going to happen is we're going to load the file and we're going to convert it to a dictionary, if you remember that, which is here. And then when we call each part of the file, we're just going to call this method and pass it in the dictionary, and it's going to give us back the value. So this is kind of a fake way of getting getters and setters in Python. Now, again, this is my way of doing it, right? You may have your own way. Who cares? You know, hopefully if I give you something that's useful, then that's good. If not, then, you know, oh well. So the first thing we're going to do is get our data back from the file. So get settings file data. Okay. And this should be in a value. Now, the good thing is, again, if you don't know Python, shame on you, but you don't have to, like other applications, you don't have to declare this as a variable, right? You can, but it kind of does it itself. So let's see. I think we call this one settings repo, which it sees that. And if you notice, it brought it in, which is good. And then settings repo, we want to get our settings file and we're passing in our config. Perfect. So thanks again. The tooltips are freaking awesome in this thing. So what we're going to do is we're going to put a breakpoint here, print. And what I'm going to do, just prove the pudding. We're going to print the type out. Okay. So this is so you can see what it is, and we can actually loop through this if we wanted to. So we could say, if you don't know how to do this, we can say key, comma, values in settings, and then print. We could just do this if we want to. that plus equals, we'll put a space, plus string, I'm sorry, got to make sure it's a string value. Even though it is, it still wants to make sure it is. I think that's right. I may have something backwards, but what the secret here is to loop through these items. Why are you crying? Oh, that's why you're crying. Sorry. Okay. Now you're still crying about the K. What's wrong with my K? Oh, I put a capital K. Duh. Okay. Be consistent, Tim. All right. And then one thing I like to do just for testing purposes is print a nothing value as a place to put a breakpoint. Now what we can do is we can just say debug this. Now I could set up a config debug file, but I don't really care. And I probably should make this big screen just to kind of help those, because I don't know how big it's going to be on your side. But let's go ahead and debug. Okay, we're going to jump through. We're okay with the arg, so I'm going to take that out. And we're going to jump into here. And we've got a stop point right there, which I didn't realize I had, and you remove that. And I'm stepping over again. If you don't know how to use these IDEs, this is not what this meeting's about. But we're going to step over that. Oh, we got a none. Why do we have a none? Because we passed no config. So in our start method, we need to get our config file. That's why we're passing in nothing. So let's get our config file. That would kind of help, right? So again, let's see. What we want to do now is get our config. Now, since this is inside, well, first of all, let's remove this one, okay? And we're okay with the rest of this. Let's put a breakpoint on our type, just so you can see that it is a dictionary. And a dictionary is a key value, right? So pretty elementary, been around forever. How do we... Inside here, what we want to do is say, let's set our, I'm supposed to be in here. Let's set our settings file. So what I'm going to do is force it to be in the settings folder. Okay. So that's fine. So file, I don't have a file helpers method, do I? Snap, crackle, pop. So that's something I usually have a lot of. So what I might do is copy the one I have from before just to save us some extra typing. No, I'm not going to. We're going to create it. That's the whole point of this, right? So we're going to create a Python, and we're going to call it folder helpers, because this is a set of helper methods. It's going to help us. And again, I do the paradigm of where I need helpers. Endpoint OS. So now I do everything as classes. Again, the proper class is uppercase, camel case, if you want to call it that. I'm very bad at doing that because these aren't really public methods or public classes. But this is a set of methods. Okay. I don't know what it's doing there. I'm just going to pass on that one. But we do need to have an initializer. So def initialize, there we go. And then here we'll pass on that. Okay, fair enough. Because I'm never going to use this right here. But you have to have it in your classes. I know some people are like, well, Tim, you got to have that. Well, I know, but who cares? It's my code, not yours. All right, so get settings underscore, we'll call it file path. And here I'm going to pass in self, even though it's probably not going to be self. It's really going to be a path to self. Which means up here, let me get rid of this because I'm only going to have one parameter passed in. Okay. So you have to have one parameter, by the way, and by default it won't self, but that doesn't mean it has to be self. Okay. There's a whole paradigm behind that. You can YouTube it, or, you know, if you're really confused, ask me, maybe I can help you later. But just go with it for now. It will understand. You'll understand. So we need to create a path. So os dot path, path dot, there's an abstract path. Oh, perfect. But I don't want that. Let's see, path. Maybe I do. Yeah, that's fine. And then we're going to say, I want to go up one level. So that's what I'm doing here. And it's in a folder called settings. Okay. So if you don't know what this is, and I need to close this off. Maybe one more. Did we? Oh, you know what? It's because it's right here. We don't need it here. We need it back here. Okay. So what this is saying is grab the directory that this is going to run in. Okay. And then what I want is you to go up 2 levels because it's going to run right here. I need to go up to here and grab settings. Okay. So it's not if doing cd ... Okay. And then we want to return. Trying to think. Okay, so I do need to return the file name. So we'll call this return file equals os.path join. Oh, look at that. It's close. Join path, but actually we want the abstract path, don't we? So let's go dot abstract path, and that should be os.path.join. There, that's what we need. That will work. And then we need to return that. Okay. So again, what we're doing is we're doing the abstract path. Excuse me. And we're mapping again on whatever the path is, which is here, to the file name, which that's not the right file name. Settings.properties. I just want to do it from here to make sure I don't fat finger because my spelling really sucks. Oh, it's kind of cool. I thought it was an INI file, but it's not. Okay, at least it was close. All right, so we're good there. We're going to need other helpers, but we'll build them when we get to them. Okay, so let's go back over here. Let's save. What is this little tooltip? Is anything good? No, let me make sure this is right though. So path equals abstract path. In the abstract path, we're doing the directory name. The directory name is going to be the file that it's ran in, okay? And then dot settings. And again, if you know what this is, by all means, please Google it. And if you see me making a mistake, just laugh at me because you can't correct me. I'm trying to do most of this from memory. Okay, so that should work. Now, let's go back over here. Now we should be able to do file helpers. What do we call it? Actually, it should be, yeah, file helpers. So that's another reason I like to use the word helpers, because it kind of helps you with your clean code as well. Let's see if I can pull that in. From helpers import, we could just tie it to one of these. But we're gonna just do it from folder helper. If I can spell it. Import. What is our class again? Okay. Why are you crying? Let's see. That should have worked, right? Oh, you dummy. It's got to go from the folder level. I'm sorry. Helpers. Dot, because we're not in the same folder. So that'll work. Da-da-da. Okay. And we've got 2 imports. Okay, so that should work. So now we should be able to use this. Down here, bam, dot, get. And then here, what are we doing again? Give me a second to think, because sometimes I start talking and then my mind just goes crazy. But I think it's fine because we just want to go to the normal route. So we're not passing anything yet. And that's why I don't think I cared about the self. So if we go look at that now, I don't care about this because we're picking it up dynamically. Yeah, that's cool. Okay, so that at least works for that. So let's test it. So that's going to get our settings file and it's going to pass it to start. Start is going to grab it and let's just put a debug here so it doesn't break. And let's go ahead and run it in debug mode. Come on, run. Oh, it's trying to run. Sorry, impatient Tim. Info unexpected takes 1 argument. Okay, so who cried? I hit that too many times. So let's do it again. It actually ends too fast. So let's put a breakpoint here. And let's say debug, because obviously I'm making a mistake somewhere. Oh, what's the matter? It's jumping before it even starts. Takes one position argument with 3 we're giving. So it really doesn't like this. I think it failed from beginning. So give me a second to look at this. So it really doesn't like that for some reason. So what am I doing wrong? Path equals os path abstract os path dot join. That's where I messed up. So this is supposed to be join, not. Okay, now we need to say os dot path dot directory name, and then that's going to be our file. Okay, oops. So there's a set of these parameters you can use. Okay, you can look those up, but let's say dot dot dot. We need to take away one of these because that needs to, there we go. That's so much better. See, it was trying to tell me I was screwing up, but it didn't let me. So what I didn't do is I didn't join. I was just doing directory name and doing this, but there's only one parameter for that. So what I need to do is join to add those together. Now it will work. So let's go back to here. We're in debug. We're going to step over. Let's get rid of this breakpoint because we know that works now. Jump into, and now we're going to get the file, right? So that's going to go over here. We're going to step over the logging. Now, I'm not going to do this every time. If it's blank, it's going to read through. I'm just going to go ahead and jump because I can see right here it actually brought back the file, and I can tell by the curly brackets. So if you don't know, and I'm going to say this quite a few times, a dictionary in Python is no different than JSON. Okay, but let's go ahead and look at our print. Well, to an extent, obviously there's rules, but notice now it is a dictionary. And if we loop through this dictionary, we'll get a write out. Now, if I keep going, you're going to get my password. So I'm going to stop it because I didn't think about that. But we know it works, right? Because there's the base URL. And if I do it again, you'll get my user. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and stop because we know that works. All right. And we're going to get rid of all this. Okay. So now we've got our file back as a dictionary. Cool beans. Now, the next step, what we're going to do in our start method. Now, see, again, this is one kind of like keep it clean because this is kind of messy by itself, right? So what I do is I have these little methods like start that tells me this is going to start the application. And now I can call it in many different places. And I can pass in different files. So I can say if the file was not passed into an argument, then go ahead and use the default one. If it was passed in as an argument, then use it. Okay. So, and now it kicks this off. You pass in the file, it converts the file to a dictionary. And now we can use our getters and setters now that we have a dictionary. So now we're actually going to start the work. So we're going to get event profiles. So there was profiles. There was, let me think, get event profile rules. Whoops. Dang it. And then there was, let's just grab another one here. These are our workflows. Okay. This is things that it has to do. Devices, get, I don't think there's an event in front of that though. I think it's just devices. Okay. And then the last one is Spectrum. Get Spectrum. Okay, so I don't know how much far we can get with this right now, but we're going to try. And then the last thing we're going to do is combined all to CSV. Okay, and of course I got to spell this correctly. Bam. All right, so cool. Let's be consistent and let's make that. Okay, so properly what I should do is do the dot dot dots and put a little definition in there. We can do that later because that can actually show up in your definition files. Okay, like if you make some type of definition out of this. So what we want to do is we'll create a variable called event, and we'll call this one profiles. I like using the name data. Okay, and we're just going to set it to blank for now because we're going to need that. So, and then we need one for rules. So profile rules, and then we need one for devices. Okay. And then we need one for Spectrum. Okay. That was just going to be Spectrum data. Oops. Fat fingered. Sorry about that. And we have a space. Oh no. Tim is screwing up like crazy. Okay, so this is going to be Spectrum. Okay, Spectrum, and I got an extra S in there. Now, so we have a misalignment. There we go. Okay, so then we'll do this in a bit. Now what this is, we can actually do this for this. Get PM DA data. And right here. This will help us keep this separate from each other. Get Spectrum data. Okay, and then this is going to be combined all the data. Okay. Let's see. So I'm just going to put output because we may do more than just CSV. So I had a conversation today with a customer, and they wouldn't mind getting some of this back as Json so they can do things with it. And we may actually give them 3 different CSVs and a combined CSV. Now, the first thing we do is get our profile data. So let's go kind of work on that. So what I want to do is create a class. Now, this is where I would have a separate set of helpers but in this case, just keep it stupid simple. I'm going to have it in the same one because these are actually application specific classes, right? So we'll call this get DA event profiles. Okay, so we'll start with it. Now here we want our class. Let's make some space for our includes, if I can spell class. Okay, so that's fine. See, it's getting smart. It's knowing that I want lower cases. How cool is that? Versus forcing me to do the camel case. And again, the camel case is the right way to do it. But in this case, I have a bad habit of using, what I use is lowercase if it's not public, and camel case if it's public facing. These aren't public facing. Technically, these are, what is it called? So there's public, private, and then there was one more that's actually just for application specific, and these are just application specific. Give me 1 second just to make sure I'm not missing a meeting. Okay. It looks like we've still got time to continue. Yeah. Okay, so I've got a little bit, so let's keep going while we got time. Now here, let's go ahead and create another class called get. Oh wait, let's DEF. You haven't figured out this is a definition, and this isn't a class. I'm sorry, this is a method. Get event profiles XML. I don't really think it's XML though, be honest with you. But we're going to pass in our settings file. And here's where you notice where I said settings versus self. And that's fine because it has to have a method. It's really JetBrains that's making it purple, not Python, right? So no biggie there. All right, so let's go ahead and move my phone out of the way. That's why I was checking to see if I had any meetings. It's kind of in the way. Let me take a sip of coffee because now we're about to get started. All right, and if you hear me banging around, it's because I got the mic right in front of my face, right in between my arms. My mouse is on the right-hand side. We're also on a Mac. My keyboard's right in front of me, so I have to stretch around the mic to be typing. I'm trying a desktop mic because it picks me up better than that hanging mic, but it's kind of in the way. But that's okay. So first thing, best practice is we need a try catch, and we're just going to steal the one from over here, maybe. Yep, works for me. And again, this is a try exception, but the true term is try catch. It's not smart enough to figure that out, but we're smart enough to figure that out. So we're missing our logging, which is fine because we're going to bring that in. It also notices that there's something at the end there, so we're going to import that in. That's good. I don't think sometimes if you can't line it up, the best thing I find is get to the one before it and hit enter, and that lines it up for you. Now, again, this is just JetBrains, okay? And this is probably because there's a space at the end, and there is, and we're good. All right, so that is back. Why you being a booty butt? Let's fix this if we can. There we go. Oh, you know what? Because there's nothing there. You have to have something inside your method. Okay, so let's start with our custom logging. and we're going to say logs.log. Bam. First thing we're going to do is info. And now the next thing we want to say is get maybe event profile, because this is written to our logs, right? Profile data has started. Okay, that way if it errors out, we know at least which method it went into. Now, the cool thing is this log was from the other day, so it actually duplicates the logs. So this was the log we started with, okay? And then this is archived. Let's see, am I saying that right? Yeah, this was the log from the other day, and this is the log from today. Kind of cool, huh? So notice we have errors in there, which is kind of cool. All right, but let's get, so there's rolling logs, just like log4net. I mean, log4j or, yeah, log4net's one of them too. But let's see, what else we got? And again, if that's something you really want, just let me know. So the one thing I want to do is put this into a pandas. So if you don't know pandas, let's go to our console here, and we're going to say pip install pandas. Pandas is a really cool add-on, I guess, or plugin, and it's really allows you, I look at it more like a table type form thing. I really don't want to get too detailed because this isn't really what this is about, but if you haven't heard about pandas, you really need to look it up. I use it all the time. So what we'll do is bring that in from here. So there are a couple things we are going to need, right? So let's go ahead and import pandas as PD, which is best practice. And we're also going to bring in requests because we've got to do an API call. So pip install requests. Okay, that allows us to do our API calls. So let's go ahead and bring that in up here. So is it done? Yep. Import requests. Okay, fair enough. And there is this other thing called XML to dictionary. Now it's a third party. I don't think I'm using it here, but it was fresh on my mind because it's one of the ones that were not standard, but we're going to bring it anyway. So pip install XML to dictionary. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. It's DSCT. There we go. That works. Okay. And that was fine. So we're going to go ahead and bring it in. If we don't use it, we'll just delete it. Not a big deal. XML to dictionary. So see, it automatically wanted to do the older way of doing XML, but I don't really like that in this format because what I want is I want my data to come back and I want to put it into a dictionary. And again, if you remember in Python, a JSON file, the standard, right? It could be crazy and it won't match what I'm saying, but the standard JSON file is a dictionary because it's the key values, and the key value in a JSON is separated by a colon, right? So, and it's kind of the same thing in Python. So it makes it very easy. We also need to, whenever we do our URLs, we need to make sure that we need to join our URLs. So we're going to use our URL lib.parse. There we go. Oh, not that one though. We're going to use URL join. Okay, so that's going to allow us to, is that not it? Let's see, URL. Oh, parse, not request. I'm sorry. Parse. Seriously? Now it's happening to me too much. URL lib dot parse import. We want to join URL. You'll see why when we get to it. Okay, so I'm just going to leave this as is for now. We're going to need other stuff. We're definitely going to need our config file, right? So helpers dot settings repository. No, we already did that one. Let's do our settings repository import settings repo. Okay, because we're going to need our settings file information. So the reason I went ahead and did the pandas thing, this is a little trick for pandas. Okay, I don't know why I did that. It should be up here. Okay, in pandas for testing, we want to see all columns and rows. So if you ever use pandas, it really is like a table form type plugin, and the problem with it is sometimes If there's too much data, it likes to concatenate it. So you'll see like column names, but you won't see all the columns. There'll be a dot, 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 right? And ellipse. So we want to change that though. Our pandas is referencing as a PD. So we can do that here. So this is a little trick. I use it all the time. So PD dot set options. Oh, cool. It knew it automatically. Maybe. No, display max rows, column width. Oh, yeah. I don't want it. So I want it to be none because I want it to be what we tell it to be. I mean, we want it to show everything. I'm sorry. I was trying to read and do it at the same time. All right, cool. So that did it for me. So what this is going to say is basically don't concatenate any columns, don't concatenate any rows, just show me everything you got. Now we need to start getting our setters. So get setters to use here. Okay, so the first thing we need is our base URL equals. Now here's where it gets kind of cool. Do you remember where I said it's going to be like getters and setters? So here I can just say get DA base path, and we're going to pass in our settings file, which at that point, it's not really a settings file. At this point, it is our dictionary, right? So that's why it kind of looks and acts like a getters and setters. Now, to make sure I get everything, let's pull this back up. So we need our username, password, and this. So let's go ahead and get those. So DA username. Okay, smart. DA password. Smart. What else we need? So there we do have a flag that says export to JSON, but I think I'm going to force that anyway. But we're going to go ahead and just put it in here. JSON equals settings dot. Oops. Settings repo dot get. What is it called? Let's go look at our getters and setters because I'm missing that one. It's right here. Landscape spectrum. Oh, I'm not even pulling it back. So not a big deal. So that's cool. What I was thinking is here, I was giving the user an option to say, do I want JSON files? But I think I'm going to force them to say yes, no matter what, because it just helps to have them as a visualization, if nothing else. So we're going to leave that one as is. Now, target path is very important because where are we going to write these files to? Equals perfect. Okay, cool. So there's our getters and setters. I am going to go ahead and add this other one just to be safe. Export to JSON, but I'm going to comment it out. And we're going to say not used always write to JSON. Now, this is bad practice because using the KISS method, keep it simple, stupid, you should never program to something that doesn't exist. But I want to remember that I may want to do that. So first thing we need is our URL. So our URL is going to be our URL lib, this one, okay, dot parse. Look at that. Pretty smart. So let's see, but there's an error. Lib parse URL join. That's correct. Our base URL, and this is wrong. So our URL is kind of weird. If we look at Postmon, you have to have this rest and then what you want after it. So it would look like that. Now this one should be, so let's get rid of this. I don't know why I got an error. We'll look at it in a few minutes. But rest, okay. And then, well, we need a / because our URL does not have a / and then event profiles. Okay, I think that's right. And we may try that in Postmon if we don't feel comfortable with it. But why do we have, did we not bring, oh, we didn't bring this in. That's why. Not by itself. So there we go. Now it works. Okay, cool. So that's our API. And it's just as simple as we're getting our base class from over here. So if I shoot up my base, okay, well, that's Spectrum, but same thing. Here's my base, and I'm concatenating this to the end of it. And that's it. Okay, so that's only building the string. And if you want to test it, let's go ahead and print it out. just so we can test what it looks like. But let's go ahead and move on. So now I want to get back the content of that data. Did I misspell it? Content. Yep. Equals. So I went in tab, but I want to make sure I'm right. Oh, dude, that is so perfect. Yeah. What is it with JetBrains? Because, yeah, that's exactly the way I do it. Because what we're saying is I need to pass my username and my password. There is only one thing it's missing that I want to add here is verify equals false, because they have tokens, and we don't want to deal with that. Or certificates is the right word. We don't want to deal with that. So this is saying, you know what, ignore those and just continue. Okay, so simple enough there. Now I believe that is XML content though. So let's go ahead and print that out and see what we have. I'm going to go ahead and decode this. Well, content, if I could spell it, content dot decode, and I want to decode it as our good old buddy of UTF-8. Perfect. And then again, my little print, I don't know why it's got a space, but it's okay. Print stop. Okay. Now let's see what that gives us. Why do we have an error? Is my spacing off? Oh, it kind of is, isn't it? Let's go ahead and put that back. I don't know why I must jump that far out. There's nothing there. Okay. Oh, because this is misspaced. Yeah, see, that's really being a pain in the butt, isn't it? So the try catch is correct. So one thing good about this is these lines kind of help you, but I'm not sure why this print is being such a pain. Let's see, what's the problem? Well, let's go ahead and move this up here. Unfortunately, it does take white spaces in consideration. Oops, I totally missed that one, didn't I? Let's see. I think I broke it, didn't I? Let's go ahead and just clean that up real quick. There we go. All right. So now let's see what's going on here. I did it again. That's okay. We'll just do it ourselves. Or I did it again. That's still not right. It's wanting to put stuff in there that I don't want in there. Let's see. So exception as error. Let's get rid of this. This message does not need to be in brackets. So I'm not sure why it's doing that, because it's just a string. And now it's saying it's wrong, but my spaces are correct. So what's going on here? Unexpected indent. Oh, it is right here. My bad. There we go. So see, that's one bad thing though. There should be a line right here, but there's not. Okay, so let's go ahead and debug, see where we're at. And this will tell us if we're working. So let's go to console. Wait, you know what? We never did call this method, did we? So that won't do us any good. So here, let's do get profiles, and then I don't know why it keeps doing that. That's a pain in the butt. So get event profiles. Let's go look at it. Go to implementation. That's the class. We need this. Okay. Guess I could have hit a dot. And then here we want to pass in our settings data after the dictionary. Okay, there we go. So let's just do that. We'll break this breakpoint because we know that works. I'm going to hit stop and do it again. Go. I could hit refresh on that, but that's okay. So pause. Hey, babe.
Hey, my baby emailed me.
Okay, what did you say?
He's a dumbass, but he emailed me and it made me feel good.
Okay.
So, hold on. I emailed him the other day and just told him, I was like, I'm sorry I haven't emailed you before now and that this email's short. I ended up with major migraine, the worst I've ever had. It ended up turning into an ocular migraine and I had to go to the doctor yesterday. Hopefully I'll be back to normal tomorrow. I love you and I'm so proud of you. I can't wait to hear all about it Sunday when you call. I know you're doing amazing. Just remember, you've got this and never forget how amazing you are. I look for your photos several times every day just for a chance to see you. Obviously, he thought I meant for him. just send me photos.
Okay.
He goes, all I can send for right now, do not post, we will get cooked. Love you. And he sent me a pic.
So yeah, he'll get cooked for having his phone.
And I'm just sitting here thinking, buddy, not what I meant, but I love you.
Well, cool. At least he responded and said he loved you. All right. Well, I love you, baby.
Well, I don't think he said, he didn't say he did say he loved me.
Yeah, I was going to say, you read that he said he loved you.
And then I said, I love you. I can't wait to hear all about your week. Stay strong. You got this, love, Mom. And I'll send you the picture. But I was just sitting there thinking, like, dude, I meant on Flickr, but okay.
All right. Well, I love you. I'm glad he sent you a message, though.
All right. Love you. Bye.
I love you. Bye. I got to see what's going on with JP and this PLC thing.
Oh, you signed a contract?
I hope so.
Good. John got all up in somebody's asshole.
Yep, we'll see. All right.
I love you.
I love you. I'll check on you in a little while because it's almost lunchtime. All right. Love you. Bye. Okay. So we got a break point here. Let's step into this. We're going to step over. We got our logging. Cool. We're going to set our pandas that we're not using yet. So no sweat there. We're going to step over these. Again, you're probably going to see my password, but that's okay. We do have a target path called data. And then what we're going to do is we're going to create our URL. Well, let's do print, see what it looks like. No, what happened here? Our base URL is this. So that didn't work properly. So the next step is going to fail. So let's look at that. Bam. That's why we do debugging, right? Not a sweat. We'll figure it out. I mean, truth is, we could build it ourselves right here. I just want to know why this isn't working. Okay, there we go. Let's just see what that gives us. Let's run it again. Okay, we should be able to run directly to that. So let's jump and I'll step over. So that is correct. Maybe it's just having a hard time showing it because that is correct. And that's correct. urllib.parse.url join. Sometimes URLs are very picky about that kind of stuff. So that's why it's kind of good to actually do it through the proper channels, like this URL join. But like here it shows it. Let's just see if it calls it, right? Maybe it just doesn't want to print it for some reason. See, it's not printing the whole thing. Did I screw that up? Print API. No, it should print that. That's okay. And it's not showing it there either. The question is, does it show it here? No. Why? Okay. Not making me happy. Did not work the way I expected to. So we're going to take that out and we're going to say, we're going to do it old-fashioned way. Again, I'm not a fan of doing it this way. Just because if there's a boo-boo, sometimes the helper classes will help you. But let's just, enough is enough. Let's just get it working. So, okay, so there, and jump, and jump. Okay, so that should have given us a couple prints. Yeah, this warning is because I use a certificate, and it's saying just ignore that certificate. So the next part, we should see some code, and we do. Okay, and this is a form of XML. Definitely, because there's no JSON here. Okay, yeah, so this is definitely XML. Hopefully you know what JSON looks like, right? So JSON would be like key, value, right? That kind of thing. And this is definitely XML. Okay, so let's go ahead and stop this. Now, there are some XML things that you could use inside Python, but I really like this XML to dictionary thing. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to put this into a variable, and we'll just call it XML content, just to keep it stupid simple. Okay, and let's go ahead and take this down a little bit. And again, we got our white spaces off again. I wished we could get that working correctly. Okay, and now let's see what's next. So now what we do is put that into a dictionary. Okay, so what we're going to say is change XML to dictionary. Okay. So we'll call this, it's an ordered dictionary, right? So we're just going, this is a very bad naming, but I'm going to do it just so you know what it is. Ordered dictionary now equals XML to dictionary. This is the power behind this. I do recommend looking this up if it's something you think you're going to use a lot. And of course, like everything else, there's a parse, and it just wants to parse the XML content. Okay, cool. So that's going to put it into a dictionary. I'm not 100% sure how they do it because I didn't spend time looking at their control. But just like any other language, Golang or Java or .NET, there's always somebody who's built something that might be what you're looking for. So why reinvent the wheel? Just make sure it's legit, right? So make sure you get it through the pip website or something like that. So what's next? So now we got that. Now let's make it to JSON so we can see what it looks like. JSON data equals. It almost did it. There we go. So, I got to import JSON, but that's okay. Python has this JSON object, right? So dumps will take a string value or a dictionary or whatever and put it into JSON. Now I want to indent at 2 so I can make it actually look like a JSON. Now let's just import our JSON real quick. Let's get some real estate here. Import JSON. Okay. This is the one that failed. I'm not going to spend the time to figure out why it failed. Maybe I'm just a typo, just something. I do something stupid when I'm recording because I try to move fast. All right, so now let's say here, what we want to do is probably make sure I don't have any stupid white spaces. All right, so what I want to do here is let's just print this out. So let's say print a demo of the JSON data for testing. And well, let me make sure I spell demo correctly. And one thing I like to do too is DEMO. We have some things going on, so let's just do this, and I'll get the JSON data in a few seconds. It's not what I'm gonna do. I like doing this because it gives me a breakpoint in my logs for me to see what's going on. Now, so what we want to say is print JSON. Now, if you want to see what this looks like, let's make sure I don't have more of those idiotic things going on. We can get rid of all this, and we can just say go. And oops. Okay, it's going. Sorry. Let's go to our console. Let's jump. And there we go. So that is our JSON. Now that is really cool. So we took XML that's coming from here. That looks like this. Yeah, it's definitely XML. I don't know why I said JSON earlier. But it's coming from this, and then we wrote it out to JSON. Okay, which is kind of cool. It does these little @signs for things like versioning, stuff like that, but I'm not using those values anyway, so it's really not important. So what we want to do now, we could actually write that to our log file, but oops, I hit a key on the keyboard, Control Z. Okay, but we don't want to do that, so we're just going to leave those in there for testing. Okay. But what we do want to do is, let's go ahead and write this out to a log file. I don't know why my monitor, I guess because my arm was touching the mouse. Write JSON out to JSON file. Okay, there we go. So what we can say is if export to JSON. Seriously? Well, I guess that works too, but that's not what I wanted. I was just saying if that doesn't equal that, but that's not what I want. So let's get rid of that. If, let me think. Okay, that's fine. We're just gonna, okay. JSON for path equals target path. Okay, look at that. I'm taking my headset off because I don't even hear myself in anyway. So, all right, I'm just going to tab because it's pretty smart to know what we're doing. So what we did was we took the target path. We're putting the event profiles, right? Yep, this is event profiles. And then we're going to open it. And then we need to write it out, right? So out file, there we go. And now we need to print we're not going to do that though. We're going to say print JSON exported saved. We'll probably put that in our log file, but that's okay. This print should be equal with the width, not that. Okay, there we go. And that should be it. And then what I want to do for kicks and giggles is I want to put one of these at the end to help us separate where that file is. Now, if this is correct, this should write the data to this data folder here. So let's just see what happens. Go. And I have no breakpoints besides this one and the start one. Okay, it takes a little bit longer to kick off. I'm not sure why, but that's okay. So we're going to go bam and full path equals data event profiles JSON. Should that be in here? Go to my console. Let's step over, and let's stop. For some reason, I don't see the data. Oh, there it is. It's because the app was still running. So if we just open this up, there's our JSON. How cool. All right, so that's kind of easy. But now let's go back and let's return this data so we can save it into a data frame. So let's go ahead. So there was a requirement today to put these in different CSV files, but I'm not going to do that yet. I'll go back and do that later. What I want to do now is show you how to combine these into a CSV file. So what we need is another dictionary. Okay, and then complete frame. Well, I guess I could, as long as it doesn't, as long as that data isn't combined at the end, it should still export into different CSV files. So we'll just give it all of them, you know, I mean, that's fine. So here we want to say this is a pandas data frame. Now a data frame really is like a, whoa, what the heck? Is that what I want? No, because I have to build this. Okay, so a data frame really is just like a table format type situation. Okay, so we didn't do PD, but I guess we could just grab this. Okay, that would work. Now, that would give us a data frame. Okay. Sorry, I had to check my phone for a second if I don't forget to cut that off. All right. So now what? So we have a dictionary, an empty one. We have an empty data frame. Okay. And now we need to load our JSON data. So we'll call it JData. Very bad naming convention, but that's fine for now, just because it's kind of generic. So that's going to load our JSON into an actual JSON variable. And here's where it gets kind of tricky. Okay. For attributes in JData, we want what? Okay. So we want to loop through our JSON data. Can I open that with something different? No, I guess I have to go to that folder, wouldn't I? Let's see, open in Finder. Open with Visual Studio Code. And we're going to do a split. Oh, I can't do a split screen like I can in Windows, but that's fine. We can get rid of some real estate here. I was going to slap it against the side and slap it against that over there. Okay, so we're reading this JSON data in. And the first thing we've got to do is do the profile list. So we got to kind of go down this as an array. So here, that's one. Okay, oops, don't do that. Control, seriously? All right, so I just totally lost that one. Let's grab it again. Try to do Control Z, but I Control C instead. Okay, and then the next one is going to be event profile data, because this next one down the list. And that's going to get us started here. Okay. Now, the requirements are, let me think. Okay, so I'm going to stop the video and get the requirements and come back because I really don't remember.